And today's Pocket Kings. So in this scene we get two limps. Both limpers are fairly loose. 46% 12, 39% 8. Neither of them appear to be overly aggressive. I do have quite a few hands on both of them. So if we look at pre-flop raises or raise first in, it's about 15% or so for this player. And he's playing maybe about 50%, so we're looking at about 35% is what he's going to limp with. So let's go up to 50%. Let's raise it up to 15%. So we have about 35%. We're going to add back all of these pocket pairs because people like to limp with them. He could be raising all of those. We're going to add those and take out some other ones. I don't know, that might be about right. So that's one player. Second limper had opportunity to raise, to isolate. He chose not to. He's in the cutoff, so he's playing 27% of hands. Overall, he just appears to be loose and passive. He's probably playing a closer range. Maybe not as loose now that we have a limper in the hand. So we're going to take out, again, I'm going to probably do like 10%. We're going to add these pocket pairs back in because, again, people like to limp with them and hope and hope to hit, trips. I'm going to add that, something like that. And same thing, I want those low ones. Alright, so now it's on me. Versus the limper, we're going to probably be more inclined to raise aces. We do know that they are pretty wide no matter what. I don't think we ever want to limp here, and I think we're going to be applying pressure. Neither of the remaining players are overly loose. But that being said, we don't want to raise to, let's say, 3 big blinds and get both, all 4 players then to call. So I think if we're going to raise, we're going to be raising at least 5 or 6. Probably, I think 5 big blinds the minimum. You could do 6 or 7. If players call, he has raised and called 50% of the time. He has raised and called, only 14% of the time. Sorry, no, he's raised and called 50% of the time. He has raised and called 85%, 86% of the time. So I do think of the 2 players, this is probably the player that would be more likely to call, and I think he has a wider range. So I think we should raise, which is what we did. Villain 7 calls, villain 8 folds, so we will get rid of him. Now, is he going to call basically everything? Yeah, probably. I'm going to change that 9-5 to a 7-4. Yeah, I think he'll probably call everything. So let's get our ranges here. So his preflop range is there. We're looking at 39.7% form. He's got about 526 combos. We have 31.2, 414 combos. Our standard button raise. And we see a flop of ace, ace, queen. Now, what do we think? Is it a good or is it a bad flop? I actually think it's kind of a good flop. As long as he doesn't have an ace. As long as he doesn't have an ace, the best that he could probably have would be a queen, and not even have a strong kicker. Maybe queen 10, maybe queen 9. Could be queen 6 if he plays those. But I think that, if we look at just his range and look to see, does he have trips? It's only 15%. So, this is a board that I think is going to miss him a big part of the time. So what do we do? Well, I think with our better hands, we obviously want to bet to try to build a pot, but if we bet, what kind of hands is he going to fold? I think he's going to be folding a lot of hands. I think even with like 10s and 9s and 8s, I think he's going to be worried that even if I don't have an ace, I could easily have a queen. So I think on the board like this, I just don't think he's going to be calling very much. If he calls, he's going to have maybe something, maybe like a jack 10, like a gut shot, king jack, king 10. He'll call with the ace, call with ace queen, call with queens. Well, he doesn't have queens. Call with like king queen, queen jack, and I think that's about it. So I think we have the opportunity to bluff a lot and pick up the pot. But with our better hands, I think we're going to lose some value if we bet a whole lot. So on this board, we're dealing with 65.0. That's our equity versus 35.0. So let's see what happens. He checks, and I think he's going to check basically everything. And now it's up to us. What do we do? I think we are checking probably all of these. All of the middle pair plus. I think we're doing all of the middle pair plus. I think is what we're going to be checking here. I think we're going to be betting pocket pair less than the board. I think we can bet our no-made hands. I think we bet, and I think that's kind of what we're dealing with here is betting 2-card backdoor flush draw. We're betting our gut shots. We're betting our pocket pair less than the board. Definitely these. I think those are going to be a lot of our value hands. These are going to be the draws. So you see we're betting about 55% of the time, which again, we're going to have more bluffs here than not. I think there are hands that we'll check behind, and I think those hands provide cover for our big hands. So what do I do here? I check, which is fine. As I said, I think I'm checking all of these. I just don't see if I bet these. I think if I bet those hands, that's what we're gonna do, then I only think he's really calling with like pocket, with like these 3 of a kind. So you can see his middle pair, probably a gut shot. I don't even think pocket pair less than the board's gonna call. So when you think about that range, still versus my checking range, he's at 27%, so it's only 33.5%, and of that, let's change it. His draw is 5%. So yeah, we're gonna bet, and if he calls, then we're gonna have to back off. Definitely back off on our bluffs. All right, so he has still 100% of his range because he checked and I did not bet. So that's 100% of the range. He has still 442. I know that I checked, so we're going to be checking. Let's X these out. There we go. That's better. So now we're betting, or I'm sorry, we're checking those. So 44.3, and that gives us 132 combos. And right now we're way ahead. 3 diamonds hits. And what we're hoping here with our check is just that the turn card's going to improve him in some way that's going to make him more likely to call or increase the range of hands that he's going to call. So once that 3 diamonds comes out, you can see that our range still stays pretty strong. His range stays pretty weak. And now what are we thinking about? So when I check here, I know that if he bets, I'm going to call no matter what. And if he bets turn and then bets the river again, we're going to have to evaluate. Does he really have a queen? Probably going to have to call. Maybe not if he just overbet shove, but I think we would have to call turn and river, just because I kind of think a queen could bet, and definitely like a queen jack, queen 10 could bet. Versus another player, I think king queen could, they would bet the turn and then probably just check the river. I think by betting that they're betting their ace. All right, so now he checks. The question is, would he bet at this time? I don't think so. I think he'd still check. Some people would be betting three of a kind. Some people would be betting, the full house. But the diamond came, so now we're true rainbow. There's no backdoor flush draw. If you have an ace, you're probably ahead. So I just kind of think he's going to be checking everything. So now it's on us. What do we do? I do think it kind of comes down to, if we bet, what is he going to call with? So once we showed some weakness, I think he's definitely going to call the middle pair, and I think he probably could call these 4s to 10s. I'm not sure if the 3 calls, he might call, but he's also calling with the gut shot. So I think if we bet, he's calling with that range. And you could see that, a lot of this is, 3 of a kind. That actually, let's get this. And let's use orange. All right, so the draws are 13%. Hands that I'm going to say we probably beat are 55%. 31% are the strong hands, so 3 of a kind or better. And that's of his calling range. That's a 48% calling range. So what are we going to bet? I do think we're going to be betting here. Probably 3 of a kind. I think we're going to get value from pocket pair less than the top card. I think we're going to bet the middle pair. I don't think we're going to bet some of these weaker hands. The pocket pair less than the second card, the weaker pair. I don't think we don't have them in a range, but I don't think this is a good time to bet them. I also don't think we're going to be betting any of our hands. So right now you're seeing that we are very heavy in our value range, and I think what we're doing here is trying to get money in the pot now from hands that wouldn't have called on the river. So we beat all of these hands with our range that we bet. We want them to call, but if we check behind and the board brings, let's say, a jack or a 10, I honestly don't think these cards are going to call. I don't think this card's going to call, and definitely if they miss their gut shot, this gut shot is not going to call. It's questionable whether or not he calls anyways, but I think the turn is kind of a spot where we can build the pot to try to increase our value. So yeah, I'm aware we don't have a bluff range. We could do all of these that missed, all the diamonds that missed. I mean, that's a possibility. So when you look at that, we're dealing with 12% bluffs. We're betting 100% of our range at this point. And that's probably, maybe that's what we should do. Include all those diamonds that would have checked. So it's 100% of my range. That's 129 combos. And then if he calls, he's calling with these. And that is 48.3%. 209 combos. So what did I do? So I checked. And I think this is where I made the mistake. So let's go back here. We still have 100% of his range. 433 combos now. So I think this is where I kind of went wrong. So I'm sure at the time I was thinking, well, the 3 probably doesn't help him. So if I bet, he's probably just not gonna fold. So I'm sure I probably just went ahead and said, I'm going to bet, I'm going to check everything, even the queens, if I had the queens. Um, and knowing that I had this pocket pair less than the top card, I'm sure I'm thinking, well, I'm either way ahead or way behind. And if I'm way ahead, I mean, is he really going to call? And I think by being weak, we get a call, at least on the turn. We're going to get called by draws. Or at least I hope we get called by draws. So I know as I played this, I'm sure I was thinking, let's just keep everyone in and let's give him a chance to actually river me. So 3 hearts comes, keeps my equity very high. He bets here, and I'm not surprised, and it kind of puts us in a tough spot. Or I think it kind of puts us in a tough spot because we have to think, is he betting because he's just bluffing because we showed weakness all throughout, or is he betting now because he wanted to let us bet all, the entire time? Yeah, he's got a possibility that he has quads, that he has a full house. He could have any of these full houses. I'm not sure what his overall aggression is. So this is one of the first time that he's donked, at least on the river. So I think we need 29% equity. Do we have that? So if he just has a full house, let's get those changed. Yeah, we have equity with quads. We figure to be ahead. Let's select that. There we go. All right, so yeah, with his range with quads, yeah, we're gonna win. With full house, we got 57% equity. With a strong full house, right? Ace is full. Or ace is full, yeah, we're looking at 60%. With the threes full, I think we're behind. So threes full, I think, is where we're gonna probably have to start folding. And you can see if we think he'll only bet with full house. If we think he will also be betting with any pair, so pocket pair, second pair, then let's see what we can get. So with middle pair, we're at 52. Pocket pair, we're at 59. So you can see that we're getting the equity. With nothing, we can't call because we think he's going value. So if we think he's going to do it with any pair, then I think we have a call. If it's a middle pair plus, we're just barely getting that equity for that middle pair. So I do think we should bet. Now, do I think he's going to do that? Maybe. We showed weakness all throughout. We don't know entirely what his how aggressive he is. Yeah, I mean we've got him. He doesn't seem to be overly aggressive, so I kind of think we're going to be looking at least middle pair plus, which means then we should probably be calling middle pair plus because our middle pair plus the queens are going to be much stronger. So I think let's just kind of go with that. So he leads into us, and I do think he's not going to go for a check raise. He wants to get value here. So this is 29.4% of his previous range. He's got 125 combos in it. Assuming we checked with our entire range, then we have 87.4% of the previous range, and we have 111 combos. And equity-wise, we should be solid. Should we raise? Yeah, if we have a full house, we should raise. I don't think we should raise anything else. Maybe the threes we should raise, but I think if I raise, he's just going to fold these middle pocket pairs. He's only going to call with hands that beat us, so I don't think we're going to we're going to gain anything by raising at this point. He shows 4-8. He shows basically nothing, and we show kings. So did he have 4-8 in his range? It would be part of that nothing. Let's see, is that bet size too? So he bet 75% of the pot. He just took a stab at it. Yeah, so that's going to change it. So now if he bets all of those, you're looking at, we basically always call, even with nothing, because I'll have nothing. So we market that, you know, he called our raise pre-flop, and then hand was checked down at the river, and he donked as a bluff. And we'll have to be aware of it. I think in this hand, though, I think we missed value on the turn. I think we should have bet on the turn. That's a good delayed bet. And I think we probably would have to include those diamonds as bluffs in our hand. We're going to be skewed towards value at that point. And that might mean then that when we go back and reassess our checking range here, maybe we need to add maybe the middle pair. So with the checking range, maybe we need to add a few more of these, you know, perhaps draw type hands. Maybe 2-card backdoor flush draw, or, you know, gut shot draws, just to increase our frequency. So, weird hand, we want it. We could kind of debate what to do on the turn. Alright, so if you enjoy this hand, look tomorrow for another one.